Osama Hamdan to Al Jazeera, who is actually quite a high-profile Hamas official. This is him in an interview yesterday discussing weapons. So he's saying, look, brother Ahmad, I don't think a Palestinian would agree to disarmament. I don't think so. Even those who signed peace treaties with Israel and the genocide that occurred over the last 2 years affirms that the Palestinian is in need for arms and resistance more than ever. Because without said arms and said resistance, you would have found the Palestinians thrown out of Gaza. Without said arms and resistance, the number of martyrs would have been doubled multiple times over. I don't think they're going to give up their arms. I think we're going to get into a sticking point, and we're not going to leave it. I can't stop thinking that that's what's going to happen. And it's really horrible because you know how that ends, right? They get to a phase where they're going to talk about disarmament. They're not going to say yes. And the Israeli government is just going to go back to bombing. So 10th of October, about day 730 something of the war in Gaza. We spoke yesterday about the ceasefire deal being agreed upon between Israel and Hamas. It's still awaited ratification by the Israeli government and final touches and implementation. It was supposed to be implemented today, and it so far has been, despite some caveats. It seems like they've implemented the first phase of what is hopefully going to be a very long lull in the fighting, hopefully followed by a full end of the war. It's been met with the expected scenes. You've got celebrations in Israeli hostage square, got celebrations in the Gaza Strip as well. Israelis seem to be looking forward to getting their hostages back, who are expected back on Monday. One statement, I believe, from a Hamas official has implied that it might have to wait until Tuesday because of the difficulty in gathering all of the hostages, and not to mention the dead bodies as well, because they're giving those back too. But so far, it looks like they've made it. It looks like they are quite firmly in the implementation, the first day of implementation of the ceasefire. What happens next? Well, a few things that I think I mentioned yesterday that were potentially going to be harder than I thought were not. So, for one, this deal primarily involves an exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. The prisoners, the high-profile prisoners that Hamas wants, namely Marwan Barghouti, are not going back, it seems. Release of hostages and prisoners, coupled with a exchange of bodies and a partial IDF withdrawal. There were some question marks around the partial withdrawal because the map that Trump gave was just kind of like a meme map. It didn't make any sense. But it seems that they actually managed to do it. They have done it quite quickly as well. The IDF redeployed effectively overnight. This is an updates page, so unfortunately, it's not going to tell me that. Thank you so much. Wow. Is it scrolling down further? Okay, whatever. The IDF redeployment has taken place on an agreed line, and they've announced as such over here as well. There is a caveat, obviously, as you'd expect. Starting at noon, IDF forces have positioned themselves at the updated deployment lines. This mostly involves them pulling out of Gaza City. There have been all day throngs of people moving up along the coastline, walking back towards their homes or where their homes used to be in the city. IDF forces position themselves at the deployment lines in accordance with the outline of the ceasefire agreement and return for the hostages. IDF forces under the Southern Command are deployed in the area and will continue to operate to eliminate at any immediate threat. So as usual with ceasefire agreements like this, they have a withdrawal line, and then they will also be accompanied by warnings of if you come near this withdrawal line or if you cross the line, you might get shot, or if we see an immediate threat, whatever that would entail, someone trying to infiltrate, whatever, then they would fire on those as well. So there have already been a few instances of tank fire and gunshots, obviously a couple of airstrikes, nothing like what we saw, obviously, when hostilities were properly ongoing. But whether or not any of those actually were responding to immediate threats, I have no idea. But there we are. They've pulled away from Khan Yunis as well. This is the full text of the deal. You can go through it all now if you want. From Israeli website. So, implementation steps for President Trump's proposal for a comprehensive end of Gaza war. 1. President Trump announces the end to the war in the Gaza Strip and that the parties have agreed to implement the necessary steps to that end. 2. The war will immediately end upon the approval of the Israeli government. All military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment and targeting operations, will be suspended. During the 72-hour period, aerial surveillance will be suspended over the areas which IDF forces have withdrawn from. Immediate commencement of full entry of humanitarian aid and relief as determined in the proposal, at a minimum in consistence with the 19th of January 2025 agreement regarding humanitarian aid. Humanitarian aid and relief implementation steps are attached herewith. So it appears that number 2, unless it doesn't seem to have the same caveat as what was in the Lebanon-Israel deal, which might suggest, fairly strongly actually, that suggests that the strikes that the IDF have been doing recently in the last 24 hours will not be part of the deal. There'll be violations already. The commencement of humanitarian aid into the Strip and for distribution has happened. There have been hundreds upon hundreds of trucks entering the Strip in the last few days, and they are all getting approved for distribution. It's not the case where they're just going across the border and sitting there. They're actually moving into the areas where people need them. That's going to be probably the top priority for the Palestinian areas. IDF will withdraw to lines agreed upon as per map X attached herewith. They've already done this. This will be completed after Trump's announcement within 24 hours of government approval from Israel. The IDF will not return to areas that have been withdrawn from as long as Hamas fully implements the agreement. Within 72 hours of the withdrawal of Israeli forces, all Israeli hostages, living and deceased, held in Gaza will be released. List attached. So A, as soon as the IDF completes the withdrawal, Hamas will commence investigating the status of hostages and collect all information pertaining to them. Hamas will provide feedback on its findings through the information sharing mechanism under 5E below. Israel will provide information on the Palestinian prisoners and detainees from the Gaza Strip held in Israel. This is already coming up to an obstacle right now, with Hamas claiming that they are not going to be able to find and gather all of these hostages in time or not. The release date is still set for Monday. The pushback, however, that I've seen from Hamas might be Tuesday. It doesn't seem like it's a long pushback. Within 72 hours, Hamas will release all living hostages, including those held by the Palestinian factions in Gaza. Within 72 hours, Hamas will release the remains of the deceased hostages in its possession and those in the possession of the Palestinian factions in Gaza. D, Hamas will share within the 72 hours all the information it obtained relating to any remaining deceased hostages through the information sharing mechanism in paragraph E below. Israel will provide information on the remains of the deceased Gazans held by Israel. Establishment of an information sharing mechanism between the two sides through the mediators and the ICRC. They've done stuff like this in the past. Mechanisms relating to hostage releases. They also have mechanisms for aid deliveries as well that's happened throughout the war, where COGAT would meet with people from Egypt and the like, Jordan as well. So there's nothing unusual there. To exchange information and intelligence on any remaining deceased hostages not retrieved within the 72 hours. So they're already anticipating a not full exchange within the window. The mechanism shall ensure that the remains of hostages are fully and safely exhumed and released. Hamas shall exert maximum effort to ensure the fulfillment of these commitments as soon as possible. F. As Hamas releases all the hostages, Israel will release in parallel the corresponding number of Palestinian prisoners as per the attached lists. The exchange of hostages and prisoners will be done according to the mechanism agreed upon through the mediators and through the ICRC without any public ceremonies or media coverage. A task force will be formed of representatives from the United States, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, and other countries to be agreed upon by the parties to follow up on the implementation with the two sides and coordinate with them. In other words, as far as Trump's 20-point plan goes, this is limited. This is a hostage release and a partial IDF withdrawal and a resumption of full aid distribution. By full, I mean your between 400 and 600 trucks a day. There is no question yet on, or no resolution yet on the international security force that Trump wants to put into Gaza afterwards. There's no question on future governance and the technocrats and which Arab states will be involved and which Western partners will be involved. There's nothing about Tony Blair's position and whether or not he is a serious candidate in Gaza or not. No final agreement on actually even some things that the Israeli right are talking about. The Israeli right are still, the far right of Israel are going to be quite annoyed, obviously, that this has, the 20-point plan has ruled out ethnic cleansing, forced deportations, and it's also ruled out annexation by Israel of Gaza. But this is not finalized yet in any of these deals. It hasn't finalized anything pertaining to what I think is going to be the massive sticking point, which is disarmament of Hamas. And I'll show you why that's a sticking point in a minute. But otherwise, the tone from both sides is very positive. It's not every day you see celebrations in Tel Aviv being paralleled by street celebrations in Gaza. Like whenever you look at this footage of Gaza, it's so, sometimes I think it's hard for people to envision like what a young population like Gaza is. The fact that it's like about half of them are under 16, not to mention 18, right? It's like, it's a very young population. So like, yeah, the proportion of kids in all these videos is like quite insane. But yeah, just usual street party stuff. This is civil defense, which is government run, obviously Hamas government run, like emergency services, firefighters, and they come to sites whenever there's like airstrikes and things like that. You'll never guess who survived the war. It's this guy. Sorry about the account. Fucking Pallywood. It's this guy. It's the world famous multitasker, Mr. Faith, Mr. Fuck Around and Find Out. The guy who was seen celebrating on October 7th and then crying when the airstrikes happened. And he's kind of like reappeared in various roles. He's like a singer. He's dressed up as a soldier in a music video. He's been a paramedic. He's been like a emergency worker. He's been a press guy. Yeah, this guy. He survived. He is absolutely unstoppable. The immovable object has stood up to the unstoppable force. Still smiling. This guy has seen some shit as well. Like, similar celebrations, I think, in Hostage Square. They have their little timer up there for how long they've been in captivity, 734 days. Long lines of people returning up to Gaza City. Is he with Al Jazeera? Not that I'm aware. I don't believe he is with Al Jazeera. I think he's a local journalist. Okay. What was this for? Hang on. Oh. Netanyahu has been... I really hate these live updates because you save the link and then it moves you. No more imager either. Netanyahu is obviously making threats. He's basically saying that all hell's going to break loose if the ceasefire is violated by Hamas or if they don't follow through with disarmament or whatever else. In other news, the IDF is standard saying that they've seized a Hezbollah weapons cache in South Lebanon and destroyed a building that was storing it. This is the redeployment map, the actually accurate one. So this yellow line is going to be the IDF's line of withdrawal for the first phase. It's supposed to be one of 3 that would eventually lead them to just the buffer line surrounding the strip. I think the buffer line is expected to be a couple of kilometers on each side, but it's definitely never going back to the 300 to 100 meters that they had before October 7th. I doubt that buffer line is ever being achieved, ever. Not for the next 100 years, I'd imagine, but just typical Trump airplanes redeployment. But yeah, they did redeploy very, very quickly. I don't know. I think the hostage release looks like it's pretty much underway. It looks like it's going to happen. It looks like they're going to as of Tuesday, it seems there might be no more Israeli hostages in Gaza, and there will be a significantly smaller number of Palestinians in Israeli jails. What happens after that, I guess, is just, it's quite worrying, and I'll show you why. We spoke quite a bit about Hamas's statements yesterday in response to the deal, but we didn't talk. Or we did. We kind of noticed that there was an interview between Dropsite and one of the Hamas officials, not a negotiator, but they were talking about disarmament, and the Hamas guy basically just dodges the question. He doesn't answer what's going to happen, apart from a very sort of vague, indirect way of saying that we're not disarmable. You can't do it. Like, that was more or less what he was saying. And Osama Hamdan, to Al Jazeera, who is actually quite a high-profile Hamas official, he was one of the subjects of quite a lot of hate from the anti-Hamas protesters. They would chant his name quite frequently. They would single him out in their chants because they consider him to be one of the more, what do you call him? One of the more intransigent negotiators. I've managed to get, I think, some of this. Yeah, all of this translated just now because it's in Arabic. But this is him in an interview yesterday discussing weapons. So I'll just say what he's saying over it. So he's saying, look, brother Ahmad, I don't think a Palestinian would agree to disarmament. I don't think so. Even those who signed peace treaties with Israel and the genocide that occurred over the last 2 years affirms that the Palestinian is in need for arms and resistance more than ever. Because without said arms and said resistance, you would have found the Palestinians thrown out of Gaza. Without said arms and resistance, the number of martyrs would have been doubled multiple times over. Yes, the Israelis have killed more than 70,000 martyrs or the sons of our people, but the Israeli did not kill them because they were resistance. He killed them because he wants to kill the Palestinians. He tried to expel them because he wants to remove the Palestinians. The steadfastness of the Palestinian people and their resistance, despite its weak capabilities, have prevented the enemy from achieving these goals. And thus, we are the ones who should be demanding guarantees of Israeli disarmament and of preventing the Israeli from using his arms, and that for the enemy to be reined in and for the occupation to be ended. And that is why we believe, as Palestinians, that the issues regarding matters of sovereignty, freedom, and independence, our conviction in the Hamas movement, that these are issues around which there must be a universal national stance. That is why, if you recall, in our response to President Trump's plan, we said that these general issues require a national Palestinian agreement through a universal framework, and that is what we are endeavoring towards, and we took real steps towards it, chief among them being the presence of the Brothers in Islamic Jihad and Popular Front on the negotiations in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we want that everyone will be on the table. So, we can first agree before we can decide on these issues. I believe that the key solution isn't the issue of Palestinian arms. The key to the solution is the ending of the occupation. As long as the occupation is present, the Palestinians will keep struggling for freedom. Remember, when Hamas say occupation, they are talking about the occupation of all of historic Palestine. That is why the world must endeavor towards ending the occupation. If the occupation was ended, it is natural for a sovereign state to be established, and any sovereign state possesses its own military and institutions that defended the country and people, and these, the aforementioned state, are what would be responsible for providing said protection. And the role of the resistance at that point would be either to participate in said institution or to build up its community while the military institution handles the protections of the country. And that's what I say. What's required today isn't a question about the arms of Palestinians. What is required today is to ask a question about the degree of seriousness of the global community and global powers in ending the occupation and giving Palestinians their due right of self-determination and establishment of their independent sovereign state. This guy is a pretty senior key official of Hamas. This guy is, I don't think they're going to give up their arms. I think we're going to get into a sticking point and we're not going to leave it. It's just, I can't stop thinking that that's what's going to happen. And it's really horrible because you know how that ends, right? They get to a phase where they're going to talk about disarmament. This guy is not going to say yes. They're not going to say yes. And the Israeli government is just going to go back to bombing. They're going to say, do it the easy way or the hard way. And Netanyahu's already said that. He's already said that if they don't go through with the rest of the plan the easy way, it's going to be the hard way. I really don't know. I want to be wrong, but I don't know. Coleman Hughes, pure joy in the air is how an Israeli journalist describes the mood in Israel right now. How could that be? If the Israelis want, above all, genocide and ethnic cleansing, then why would they celebrate a deal that ends the war with no ethnic cleansing and 97% of the Gazans alive? Pure joy is not when you feel when your deepest ambitions have just been thwarted. It's almost as if the goal of the war really was to get the hostages back and oust Hamas. It's almost as if Israelis are motivated by a deep, dark desire to live in peace with their neighbors. Well, the Israeli right, the Ben Gvir and the Smotriches are not happy with the lack of expulsion and all the rest of it. But I mean, that's the worst thing, is that the Trump deal, it rules out, like the 20 points, they rule out annexation, they rule out ethnic cleansing. To think that there are people who don't want that deal to be pushed all the way through is quite nasty. It's really nasty. Even if you're unhappy with I've got issues with the deal. I don't think Tony Blair should be anywhere near a Middle Eastern country and pulling the levers of power for the rest of his life. Absolutely not. There are loads of issues with it. There's issues with the fact that it still basically appeases the intransigence of the Israeli government, like of Netanyahu, that they don't want a Palestinian state, that they want to leave it just as a vague possibility. Like it's not a completely impossible. Again, it's like there are issues with that, but that should be the fight that's taking place. There should be a political fight taking place over that issue, not a fucking war where one side has planes and drones and 2,000-pound bombs, and the other side is so shit that their entire strategy just involves them building tunnels underneath civilian areas, trying to get as many civilians to stay in the area as possible, and then just absorbing civilian casualties so they can fucking blast it to the international community and make the other side look insane. Like that shouldn't be the fight that we've ever had. Like that should never have been a thing, but that's where we were, and people would rather that, I guess, than fighting over whether or not Tony Blair's in charge of Gaza. Like, come on. It's a no-brainer. Especially when we have some surprising shifts happening. I have no idea how meaningful this is. But his age is really showing in this picture. Mahmoud Abbas, the immortal, the untouchable, the unslayable, have begun reforms in coordination with the United States. Mahmoud Abbas spoke to Channel 12, an Israeli news channel. He hasn't done that in years, reassuring them that the PA is coordinating with the United States on reforms implementing against a backdrop of a ceasefire deal in Gaza that calls on the body to implement significant changes. International push to recognize a Palestinian state is not meant to hurt Israel. We launched a reform that also includes the issues of prisoners' salaries, which we agreed upon in the United States, in addition to reforms in education, health, and the economy. Some have already been implemented and others will be implemented until we reach a point where the Palestinian Authority can continue to lead the Palestinian people. In an interview with Arad Nir, this was his first interview with an Israeli media outlet in several years. The authority created as a result of the Oslo Accords. Okay. Abbas adds, we hoped and we continue to hope that we can stop the bloodshed taking place in our region, in the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. We hope that peace, security, and stability will prevail. From our boy. And he's also made speeches in the past where I think over the last few months, I've basically seen Abbas accumulating a bunch of statements that are, and actions that are effectively what Israelis have wanted from Palestinians for the last 100 years. Like him saying they don't want an armed state. He said that. He said that he doesn't want Palestinian statehood to be at odds with Israeli safety. He said that. He's insisted on reforms, that he wants to stop rewarding terrorism. He's saying and doing that. He wants to change the education system for some reason. He's doing that. He seems to be accumulating like all the right things and coordinating with the United States and making these unprecedented steps. But again, this all depends on whether or not it gets recognized by the Israeli government. This one definitely won't. They're just always going to say same old Palestinian authorities, same old Arabs. But hopefully Netanyahu's days are numbered in government. We'll see. This is social media news from Hamas, from IDF withdrawn areas. Armed clashes broke out a short while ago between groups after the attack on the Abu Warda family in the Gaza port area. 3 dead from Hamas and 2 from the Abu Warda family. Dozens of displaced people were injured. We asked for self-restraint, a demand for urgent international intervention before it's too late. You tend to see this in ceasefires. You see Hamas armed guys getting back into their uniforms and resolving feuds with different Palestinian families or clans or whatever the fuck else. Criminals, looters, collaborators, quote unquote collaborators, protesters. But I would say compared to a war, it's an improvement, I guess. Thank you for the rage bait, Chase Games. I love the rage bait. Palestinians should know already, you never negotiate with the devil. I don't care about this person. Get away. Leave me alone. There's been some really annoying fucking truck disputes because nothing better. There's nothing more symbolic of this horrible fucking war than people being brain dead autists about trucks. So there's this headline that says, oh, the UN is claiming to have enough stocks to feed the entirety of Gaza for 3 months. And they're like, whoa, isn't that so funny? They said there was no trucks, but now they're saying, whoa, we got loads of trucks. But you look down and they're clearly stating that the trucks are not in Gaza, that they're not in Gaza, that they're ready to go to Gaza. You can criticize UNRWA for a million things, including actually truck counting. They have been caught very red-handed, being with incomplete information about trucks in the past that's passed off as complete to make it look like less aid was being allowed in than it is. They've been caught doing that plenty of times. But my God, they're saying they're ready to go to Gaza. They're not saying that they're in. It's so stupid. I don't know. Fuck. I'm almost actually quite proud of myself for, like, it's felt actually fairly refreshing to just not get too focused on the Twitter discourse. Because I imagine Avi is referring to people here in his feed. You said there was famine, now there will be massive aid. You said there was genocide, now there'll be ceasefire. You said that those in Israeli prisons were hostages, now they'll be freed en masse. You said there was ethnic cleansing, now they stay in place. You said there was annexation, now there'll be withdrawal. So why are you so miserable in hearing this news? I don't know. I'm sure there are people online, I've seen a couple of them, who are insanely miserable about this deal because they are LARPing idiots who don't care about any of the civilians involved. They just kind of want a conflict to LARP over for as long as possible. But I don't even know who they are. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen these people. I haven't looked for them. We've just been gathering some news. I'm sure they exist. I don't doubt they exist. I can guess who a few of them are. But wasn't Albanese negative to the deal? You know what? She was, but I don't think I even saved it in my notes because I do not care about Albanese, and people who don't care about Albanese are right to not care about Albanese. She is a waste of time. I know Elon Levy was molding about her though. What did she say here? She was on Sky.
The last comment I have is about the request to demilitarize and de-radicalize Palestine or Gaza, which is discussed separately from the West Bank. What's going to happen to the West Bank? Why does the fragmentation continues? But however, in the name of Israel's security, they radicalize and demilitarize. And where is the security of the Palestinians who have been attacked without respite for decades? Much earlier than October 7, which was a horrific day and horrific crimes were committed. And so where is the demilitarization and the radicalization of Israel's society?
Indeed.
The last...
Well, like, you want to demilitarize a country. Like, she's so stupid. She's so fucking dumb. I don't understand. Like, you want to demilitarize the country that's got forces on all sides of it saying they want the thing destroyed. And if you want to de-radicalize, come on. You're going to demilitarize them. The fuck? You think Heidi is worse? Yeah, but Heidi's not the special rapporteur for the UN, right? Like, what is this agenda? What, you want to disarm a nuclear power? Like, what the... Okay. Just self-dismantle. Like, what a waste of time. It would be nice if Israel got, like, a constitution that guaranteed minority rights. Yeah, you know. People can always be better, eh? Oh, no. Now she's on my feed. What's she saying here?
even if no one intervenes today, if no more bombs dropped, if no more bullets are shot against the people in Gaza, the genocide will continue because there are no ways to remedy the destruction that the seeds of the various forms of destruction that have been planted in Gaza.
Okay. A genocide with no weapons, eh? Based? So why demilitarize them? Okay. Fuck me, man. Get out of here. Is that all? Is that all we need to cover right now? What the fuck? Man, people are so... Gazan man slapping all his food like he's a used car salesman. Why? He's happy. What are you talking about? He said the time of the thieves is over, that prices are going down. Yeah. This guy's got a lot to maintain. What are you talking about? He's happy. What's wrong with this? Big Smoke. What, from fucking GTA? Why can't people just be happy for people who are happy? Like, they need a fucking break, man. I hope they all get that fat. What? Okay, stop. Stop Twitter scrolling. Biblical scenes in the Holy Land after satanic forces withdraw. Thank you, George Galloway. If I was Hassan Piker, I would simply not electrocute my dog. Sometimes a simple answer is the best answer.
2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda.
Thanks for the 60 shekels. I appreciate it. Do these people not realize that a war can be like horrific and that there can be an obscene amount of human suffering and death and sickness and tragedy and loss and destruction, but people are also happy when it ends? And everyone's like, well, they're calling it Pallywood. What the fuck is this? To think that there's like other Twitter accounts that are just looking at these guys and going, well, they do seem strangely well fed for a starving population. Like, come on, man, what the fuck? Is that not like a nice thing to see? Like, Jesus. Okay. The first tweet under the post is literally that, is it? Isn't this from the last ceasefire in January? Okay. They don't seem to be very malnourished. None of them do, because it was all a lie. I think even the pro-Israel people who are serious that I've read on this, no one serious has denied that there was a hunger crisis throughout Gaza. And like, I know people who go on, it's usually Israelis, I don't know why, like there's a couple of Israelis that I know who make this, like, have this strange interest in finding Gazans on Reddit to talk to. It seems that Gazans themselves, when they're talking about their day-to-day life in the Strip, the one thing that they all talk about all the fucking time was getting food. Like, today we're going to try and get food here, or today we failed to get food here. That's like all they would fucking talk about. Just because there wasn't like, whatever, 2 deaths per 10,000 per day, just because that hasn't been documented doesn't mean people weren't struggling. Like, this fucking, be serious. Come on. In other news, I will comment on this because it makes me happy. It's funny. Azealia Banks, our favorite celebrity, our favorite unhinged celebrity, has been frolicking around Tel Aviv, doing a gig, and documenting her experiences in the Holy Land. The juicy Zionist divar is sending me. Divar, retweeting, opening her Tel Aviv concert. Tel Aviv, let's do it again. She came out with the Israeli flag and shit. It's so fucking weird. Over the, whoa, cigarettes, honestly. The bundles of sticks. None of you homos. What is she responding to? You're nothing like Queen of Sheba. Please end it. You look incredibly miserable and out of place. Go back to NYC. The cunts miss the old you. None of you homos are going to give me a child, and I have to at least try not to end up a barren womb bleep hag after all the drugs and bad food I've had with the gays. Seriously, this post may violate X's rules against hateful conduct. Leave me in my heterosexual reality era. There's obviously something in my heart that's always drawn me to Jews and Judaism and vice versa. There's obviously something spiritual, familiar, and comfortable to me, so if it makes me happy, why are you all so hell-bent on ruining that? Wasn't Sheba a thing with Solomon, not David? Yes, it's Bathsheba, and David and Sheba are not Solomon. Bathsheba is Solomon's mother. Okay, sure. You nibbas have really completely missed the plot and the entire point. And the point the entire time, long live Israel. The African Jewish mother drip is giving pussy pop severely. Oh God, how many tragic F-slurs for Palestine who support and respect black women don't know a black woman is literally the mother of the Jews. Do you really think Queen Sheba gives a fuck about a Muslim? Be for real. Oh God, is this like Jesus was Palestinian but for the Jews? What's going on? I don't understand. I don't understand this. But for real, fuck you guys. I think she was fighting with Israelis as well, wasn't she? Queen of Sheba for Halloween. Here is an Arab Jew. She keeps calling Mizrahi Jews Arabs. Despite people saying that they don't like that. Here's an Arab Jew who made this lovely Magen David headpiece. You guys are mad. The Palestinians got freed today, and you're focused on my Queen Sheba drag loading, which will be of epic proportions. Yes, I know she likes getting hated on, but I do think, well, the Israel love is real, isn't it? Like, the Jew love is obviously, it's obviously real. Everyone should still be careful of free Palestiners because they had a win-win scenario set up in their heads and lost on both sides. They were hoping Israel would actually genocide all of those Palestinians to say, I told you so, or they were hoping for by some force of evil that Israel was wiped off the map and they got neither of their wishes. On top of that, survivors are making it out. Now people are really about to get sneaky and resentful because once again, they will call it luck and not a blessing. Hashtag stay woke. Elon Levy, fucking nonsense. I'm gonna fast for 48 hours, get in the dance studio. Yehudi is turned. Is this like Kyle Kalinski's tweet? Hungry. I think this is just her filming herself on her own phone, isn't it? Is she just Azealia? Have they spelled it like fucking Aliyah?
I'm okay. You can't if time is not proven that you can't cancel Azealia Banks. Every time you cancel me, I get stronger. And when you cancel something, you make it punk. So in my eyes, people like this is the most, free PR that the Jews have ever gotten.
Oh yeah, Beitar loves her, yeah. Is this
and I love the Jews.
This is a BB t-shirt. That's fucking ridiculous, man. What the fuck? Oh, she's retweeting him. Is she actually converting or what's going on? The concept of Arabs bamboozling the Western world as if any group of them could realistically ever be victim to white supremacy, Europeanism, or apartheid is quite fucking hilarious. The concept of Arabs trying to call Jews eugenicist colonizers is even hilarious. The concept of Arabs saying, wait until you find out what Jews think of black people, as if there's a signaled, dignified, celebrated, important black Muslim singer, author, poet, scientist, politician, rapper, CEO in that world. I haven't checked, so I have no idea. Rampant modern day slavery and constantly murdering women for, okay, whatever. Too long. It's definitely not an apartheid. This is not 60s Alabama and never was. They were under military rule for like fucking 18 years or some shit, but okay. Quran shit, Boogeyman, Dan Bilzerian, N-word. Israel is a vibe. There's so much North African and Arab influence in the city culture, except everyone is walking around drinking green juice and carry surfboards like it's LA 2004. There's Arabic and Hebrew street signs and directions everywhere, and a lot of Israelis speak Arabic. Is she referring to the Palestinians in Israel? This you? Oh no. Slams racist as Israelis vows to never return. Hebrew Guitar Center. Before we defeat the jihads, we must locate the lotion and defend Tommy in the Battle of Ash and save him from becoming a pagan. Oh yeah, she was railing on Tommy Robinson for having bad skin. Tommy, as soon as you get to Israel, the first thing we're doing is shopping for lotion. Dude, what's this? Okay, whatever. Who is this guy?
Shall I have a rant? Just following up, seeing what's going on in Israel. To all those people before you...
This guy is always on a fucking beach outside of the UK. Why does this guy pretend to give a fuck about the UK when all he wants to do is live in a hotel in the Mediterranean? He is such an Italian. I don't understand.
Come out screaming about helping Palestine. Have any of you fucking ever been there?
Have any of you I have, yes, Tommy.
Have you ever gone on the ground to speak to people? Because I have. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I went into Fatah-controlled refugee camps. Yeah? I spent time with children. I spent time with families to understand who's oppressing them. The Palestinian Authority are oppressing them. Hamas are oppressing them. Okay? Hamas are ISIS. Make no fucking mistake about it.
Fucking mistake. Yeah. So being in a Fatah refugee camp, as I have, wasn't too far away from a street that was just riddled with fucking bullets because of settlers living across the other side of the road and having gunfights with the Palestinian locals and the IDF intervening to a point that one of the more wealthy Arab families in their villa had like a tree that they had decorated with used tear gas canisters and grenades.
Hamas are ISIS. Hamas were the democratically elected group that govern the Palestinians. Yeah, that's right. They elected ISIS to govern them. And they stopped having elections, of course. They are murderers. So if you're gay, yeah, and you want to stand there and say, oh, I support the Palestinian people, I support Hamas. Basically, I support against Israel. They would execute you. If you're one of these women who wears a Celtic top, who flies the Palestinian flag, try fucking walking through there. You stupid bitch. Try going to Palestine, going to their areas and taking a stroll down that street, darling.
Why is he
See how you get on.
He's just always mad, dude.
Because they are barbarians. They're animals, which is what you're witnessing now. Okay? So, I'm very openly, and not because of I'm shilling.
Oasis.
Not because Israel gives me jack shit. Never has, okay? But because it's the only democracy surrounded by totalitarian, fucking horrible, Islamic Sharia-driven shitholes. That's why, okay? So I support Israel. If there is a conflict going on right now with Hamas, which is ISIS, and Israel, and Hamas are targeting innocent Israelis, I absolutely 1000% stand with the people in Israel.
Who is this guy?
And that ain't getting me no seckles, it just gets me abuse. I understand that as well, yeah? But I don't care. I'm not going to shy away because some people believe Israel does stuff wrong, this stuff. I went and spent a week there, I know lots of people there, I went and travelled the area, I try and understand the conflict, understand the argument, understand what's going on there, yeah? But I understand Hamas, I know who they are.
Oh yeah, this is the guy who tries to understand, isn't he? The boy. Palestine is really the Helga Pataki for Israel's Hey Arnold. Okay. Imagine Homie invades a country to slaughter people, then decides to stop and get his nut. Oh my god. Oh, this is her at the Nova site, I see. She went to visit the attack sites. I know the whites are whiting right now, but Tel Aviv is better than literally every fucking European American city right now. There aren't a bunch of fucking migrants everywhere. What? I mean, it's an entire city of people who are like what, third or generation migrants, but okay, fine. I thought like if you're a second or third generation migrant in the UK, you're still a migrant according to most people. But do you think she went to Jaffa? Al-Aqsa Mosque. This was ridiculous. This was so funny. Israel does remind me a lot of mini Brazil demographics wise. They def have their whites, but they do have a lot of Arabs here. Hella Habibis here. She, I think she, despite supporting Israel quite adamantly for 2 years, I don't think she knew that most Israelis are non-white, that most Israeli Jews are non-white. I think because she keeps calling the Mizrahi Jews Arabs and Habibis. Hella Habibis here. You just imagine her like strolling around being like, whoa, they're so brown here. Hella Habibis. I think she was arguing with people about this as well. Where are her replies? She replies to people a lot, doesn't she? UK is cooked. The whites are whiting. Oh, Jews aren't white, we're Jewish. I know this, but I said that because France, England, Americans, Canadians, Germans, and literally all the whites are trying to sit up on their moral high horse, but all of their major cities are becoming dangerous, polluted third world Islamic slums. Fuck me. Tel Aviv is relaxing as hell. And some of y'all are definitely white. Come on. I swear there was some where she was like, where some Jews were explaining to her that they don't like being called Arabs, they're Mizrahi or whatever. And she's just like, nah, mate, you're Arab. Where is it? I don't think I'm going to see it. Fucking Tommy. Yeah, I'm not going to find it, am I? Cringe. Okay. Tel Aviv is probably more Muslim than most European cities. If you count Jaffa, it absolutely is. I don't know if... Yeah. Israel is more Muslim than most. And like, wait. Besides Albania and Bosnia, are there any other European countries that have more than 15% Muslims, let alone 20? Is that true? I don't think there are. Kosovo. Russia doesn't count. Russia's not European. Turkey. Does Turkey count? France is up there. France, I believe, is less than 15% Muslim. Muslim demographics, France. Sweden, according to Tim Pool. In 2023, Muslims made up 10% of France's population. So still half of the proportion of Israel. Germany, you're saying 20% Germany. Well, let's get an interesting lesson in forced perspective, my friend. This is why Israelis should never talk about European countries. This is why no one should talk about European countries unless they're in the European country, because Germany's Muslim population is actually around 6 to 7%, between 6 and 7%. Yes, IDK, you can send me a DM if you'd like. So 67. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Not 627. Fuck me. So I don't know. People are crazy, man. People are out of their fucking mind. They can't count. 20%. That's probably God. You know what? I want to ask like the average. Even people in Britain, man. You ask people in Britain like how Muslim the UK is. They would say like people who have lived in this country their entire life might say it's like 20%. I don't even think that would be that surprising, man. Look, it's all day these people are walking back. There's so many of them. I think there's still a live cam going somewhere.
Being attacked and killed. Families and lone figures all trying to head home. Jamal's is in the north of Gaza.
My family is waiting and we packed our stuff as we may return home. But we are still suffering from the same struggles. There isn't much joy, but the ceasefire somewhat has relieved us from the pain of death and bloodshed, and our loved ones and relatives who suffered immensely in this war.
This was the scene that greeted people returning to Khan Yunis. Apocalyptic devastation. And many Gazans can't hope for...
Gaza is like 90% Muslim, so woke. Idan, you just got caught being a total fucking dipshit, assuming that Germany was 20% Muslim, or even Berlin. So you need a fucking break, okay? You need some fucking humility. Jesus Christ. Get away. Have a nap. Have a long, painful nap. I'm joking, obviously. Never say that. Closer to 90% in England, no? I mean, it's more like fucking... Shut up. It's like 6. Fuck off.
For much more than this. The flattened, obliterated remains of where they once lived.
I want to return back to the north, and I'm standing at the crossing of Netzarim. I want to go and find a place to shelter in with my children. We're 12 people. We've not found a shelter here. We wish to go back and find a place in a school or a camp to live there.
Israeli forces started moving out in darkness, pulling back, not...
Might be 20% in Berlin. No, it might not be 20% in Berlin, you fucking idiot. Google it. Stop watching fucking videos of right-wingers being like, look at the Muslims are taking over. Stop doing that and just look up, just Google the demographics, for fuck's sake. Stop doing this. I don't know why people have to guess. We are not in the fucking 1993 where you just have to ask your fucking dad at the dinner table and he consults the council of dads and then they just come up with a random fucking number based on how mad they are or how racist they are. Oh, it's actually, I don't know, it's 30%, you know? I'm not at the tip of my fingers is this fucking fabulous machine that will just tell me the exact number that I'm looking for. Nah, let's just say, oh, well, I don't know. I saw some fucking Twitter videos of a brown guy beating up a white blonde woman last week. I don't know how old that video is, but I've seen like 3 of them. in the last 3 hours. So that probably means if I calculate 1 per hour per square foot, I don't know, 20%, fucking technical mumbo jumbo. No, just look up the fucking number.
Out of Gaza completely, but to lines they'd agreed to for the first stage of this agreement. In Tel Aviv, they wait and they pray that the ceasefire holds and Hamas releases its hostages. They know, though, this is a fragile truce with so many what-ifs. One of them, what happens if Hamas does not disarm? Answered for his part today by Israel's Prime Minister.
We are gripping Hamas from all sides in preparation for the next stages of the plan, in which Hamas will be disarmed and Gaza will be demilitarized. If this is achieved the easy way, so be it. If not, it will be achieved the hard way.
They wait to thank the man who made this happen. President Trump is on his way, we're told. By the time he gets here, it's hoped all the hostages will be out and the ceasefire still in place. In Gaza, they aren't wasting a moment, desperate to return to their homes and old ways of life. Whatever is left of them. Dominic Waghorn, Sky News, Jerusalem.
Subscribe, you fucking assholes. I mean, sorry.